I'm not very creative, so I kind of wanted to, invent kind of something. It was originally supposed to be a water kind of density tower, which didn't work out well because it's honestly a lot harder than it actually looks. So originally, there was going to be different colors of water or other liquid densities to signify different characters and what the colors meant by the characters. Okay, so the white is basically Candide, because when Candide left Westphalia, he basically left with this mind of philosophical optimism, where everything was good and like nothing was bad, and the color white signifies purity by that. I put multiple black streaks because of the characters along the way, for him becoming independent, these evils, which he later finds out that the only way to get rid of evil is by good works, but all these evils that are like going with him along the way kind of affect him, but they don't change him until the end when he finds out about good works. Okay, so the colors represent different characters. The red represents Candide, because I had like a little chart plan, but I didn't get to print it. The red represents passion, desire, and love. And Candide was like that, what's a nice word? Mistress. So, yeah. The orange represents, it's associated with like joy, kind of. I feel like yellow is more vibrant in joy, but orange is associated with joy. And I feel like that's kind of the old woman, because even though she had been through so much, she still thought of like a positive way to think of life, instead of being like, oh, this happened to me, I think I'm gonna be sad and go like kill myself or something. Not really, but okay. So the purple represents Cacumbo, because I really like this one, because I should put more on there. But Cacumbo was loyal and always by Candide's side, even though he was like, dude, you're crazy. But the purple represents loyalty, and yeah.
Good.
Okay, so I thought in the book his travels were so big, like that's just each place he found a new perspective on just life and all the philosophies that Pangloss kind of taught him. So I found this map online, but then I actually took the continents and I put them on a separate piece of paper, and then I actually did the trace of the places he went and all the extras and everything. So I actually made this map and all that jazz. So.
Awesome. Can you point some things out on the
Alright, so he first started in Westphalia, and then ended back in Paris, over in there, but mainly it shows the path that he traveled each time to each place and all that stuff, and then I put little figures here, like to show who he met in those places, kind of like this represents like the slaves and all that stuff, and then ship. So.
That's awesome. Look forward to pouring over that.
Well, we all know what Candide went through, and we went over it multiple times, but this is like a different perspective, like inside the mind of Candide, what he thought and all the things that affected him along the way. So in the beginning, he started off in this best of all possible worlds, where Pangloss taught Candide about his philosophy, and so he got this innocent optimism. Oh, this is supposed to represent Candide, and everything's going into his mind. So there's a little keyhole to his mind. And along the way, he had these struggles, and this fish represents he had to power through these struggles to get where he got, and he went through a lot of pain and suffering with the different debts and hurt of all his people or whatever. And he met the old woman, which he got out of her that knowledge is power. So there's that little brain inside the arm. So he was searching for that, and along the way he lost some of his hope. So it's kind of like broken up into different colors, but he gained it back. So that's why like some of the colors are bright, some of them are light. And then all along the way, all of them were searching for answers. So like along the road, like this road sign, there's searching for answers. Yeah, and that's
Wait,
just-
can you angle it this way?
Very, very well thought out. Hey, whoa, let's have a round of applause for Odds and Mark. And Miss Dessa for bringing that up. Good. Okay, you ready?
Hey, Dom.
You know, yesterday I was eating
Okay,
some pie.
So this is my creative project.
You killed a teddy bear.
I did. I killed a teddy bear. Okay, so this teddy bear represents philosophical optimism because, you know, the best of all possible worlds. Don't judge me. And teddy bears are typically seen as like innocent and, you know, associated with nice things. So all of these like injuries represent things that happen to characters in the book, like Pangloss lost an eye, the old lady lost a butt cheek, the slave lost an arm and a leg, okay? And then all the other ones are just representations of the other numerous injuries that people suffer throughout the books, like, you know, Candide with all the whippings and stuff, so that's all that. And the Band-Aids are Candide and Pangloss trying to like cover up the holes in the philosophical optimism idea, but they never seem to cover up the right places. Yes, I'm so deep. Yeah, but that's my project. So I demolished a teddy bear for you guys.
I did a little doodle of Candide and Martin, just kind of in a modern type setting. And Candide's like, how neat, and Martin's like, how dreadful. This is horrible. And it's just a little doodle depicting them as their characters.
But you don't have to guess who's who on that one. So that's how you saw them in your mind.
Basically.
Let me zoom in on that. Whoop. Love it. And you drew that yourself, didn't you?
Yeah.
That is impressive. I can't y'all stick with this.
Okay, so I did a character comparison of the characters in the book to other characters. For Pangloss, I chose Winnie the Pooh because it's kind of like what Tessa said. Teddy bears, and they're like innocent, and Winnie the Pooh is like very ignorant of evil, and he can only see the positive of any situation. For Voltaire, the author, I chose Eric Cartman because they both hate Jews. That's the only reason. For Candide, I chose Luke Skywalker because they both value ethics, but they're okay with a lot of innocent people dying if that means the person they hate dying. Like with the ship sinking in Candide and Luke blowing up the Death Star in Star Wars. And for Cunigande, Forrest Gump, spoiler. Cunigande, I chose Ginny from Forrest Gump because both the romantic interest of the protagonist, although they're always like out of reach of the protagonist, and they don't really care about him as much as he does. Although later they end up with him, but they both gain some unattractive qualities. For the Anabaptist, I chose Morty from Rick and Morty because they're both these characters that are meant for the audience to relate to and share a perspective with. And that's all I really wanted to go
That's
over.
good.
Okay, so our first one is Sorry by Justin Bieber. And it kind of represents when Candy gets kicked out of the house. It's like, is it too late now to say sorry? Yes. So, and it says, because I'm missing more than just your body, and which is kind of weird. But, I mean, he's being thrown out into the real world where he doesn't have Pangloss, but he also really, really misses Cunigande too. So,
That magical handkerchief.
yes. And then we did Call Me Maybe, because when Candide and Cunigande were apart, like, she said that she would write letters and she never did.
Mm.
And where is it? Okay, so our next one is The New Black by Moon Taxi. And it says, I've seen it all before and I want something more. And it represents the old woman because she went through all those struggles and like some really terrible things in her life. And by the end of the book, she like faces like boredom. She's like, we've got to do something else. Like this is so dumb. So. then we did You've Got a Friend in Me because it really it's just kind of like genuine and it really represents Kakambo's like loyalty to Candide through everything. And then our last one, where did it go? Is Hopeless Wanderer by Mumford and Sons, because when Candide left El Dorado, he was like really rich, like no one knew him, and in that song, it says, "In the dark I have no name," and so like when he wasn't wealthy, like no one knew who he was.
Awesome. Toy Story.
So I just did a diary entry of what the old woman would have wrote, and basically it's written the day that Cunegonde was complaining about how she has a horrible life and stuff like that, and it starts as her complaining about Cunegonde, and then it goes into like her talking about how she felt the day that she got captured by the pirates, and how she was like she almost gave up hope, but she never did, and she wrote 100 times I wanted to kill myself, but always I loved life more. I used the quote from the book.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see
Okay, for Cunegonde, I did Stronger by Kelly Clarkson, just because of her quote when she said, "A modest woman may be ravished once, but her virtue is strengthened by it," and so that kind of reminds me of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And then for Pangloss, I did Happy by Pharrell, mostly because it says, "Clap along if you know what happiness is to you," and I feel like along Candide's journey, everyone has kind of something different that they use for happiness or to get to happiness, and for Pangloss, it's philosophical optimism. And then Dessa helped me come up with these two. For the Baron, I did Cooler Than Me, because he thinks, I kind of imagine Candide seeing this to the Baron, because the Baron refuses to let him marry Cunegonde because, you know, he's not as a higher social rank as he is, and so I guess he thinks he's cooler than him. And then the old woman, I did We Are the Champions by Queen, because it says, I paid my dues time after time, I've done my sentence but committed no crime, and that says, and we'll keep on fighting till the end. And so even though the old woman goes through a lot of tragedy and pain, she still continues like the fight called life, I guess.
Love it.
So I did a brochure for the Philosophical Farm. It's basically that the Candide and the gang make sort of a school of sorts out of the farm that they're on. And each of them teaches a different class about how to become happy and such, like the book focused on. Pangloss teaches philosophical optimism, and the class description is that you learn about the basic principles, and in this class you will carry out extreme tasks in order to see if you can maintain your optimism. There's a little note that says that they're not responsible for any harm that comes upon you. Do the tasks. Then with negativity, with Martin, you learn how to use metaphors to accurately describe how negative you are. And then in the old woman's class, the lopsided old woman, you read about the experiences of others in books because they don't have the insurance for you to experience things yourself. So books will have to do, but those are just some of the classes. So.
You ready, sir?
Yes, Jeremiah.
All right, guys, focus front and center. Read.
So I made a list of Broadway songs, and I also made this cover. And so I'm going to just choose like 3 songs from it. So my first song is On My Own from Les Mis, which is a great for after Candide gets kicked out of Westphalia.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wrote, took a lyric from it. So this lyric is, without him, the world around me changes, which is like great for like without Pangloss and Cunegonde, like his world is like completely new and different. So the next song is Too Late to Turn Back Now from Bonnie and Clyde, which is about accidentally killing somebody, which I thought was great when he killed Don and Great Inquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
Then the last song is for good from wicked, which is like it ties up. Like they change every character he meets changes him, like for good, and those are just some of the songs.
That is awesome. Before you start, let me zoom in on that real quick so they can see it. Pretty. All right, dear, it's all yours. Go ahead.
Okay, so I did a painting of two flowers. This one is to represent Pangloss, and this one is Martin. And one is dead and one is alive for reasons. Pangloss's is outlined in white because on the outside he seems very happy and encouraging. And Martin's is black because he's sad and pessimistic. But I colored in Pangloss's because he doesn't really seem to care that much about whoever he's trying to cheer up. Whereas Martin truly does care about Candide and cares if he gets hurt or something, even though he may not show it in the right ways. So
I think that's awesome.
So for my creative project, I invented like a new philosophy and applied it to one character and rewrote him into a chapter of the story. So my philosophy was that the world is inherently evil, so those who acknowledge that fact must be fully dependent on substance or live in an inebriated state to survive the evil of the world. And then this philosophy also writes off suicide as a detestable act, thus leaving its followers to struggle through the wickedness of the world. So my character's name was Ivranya, which in French that's the equivalent to drunkard in English. And essentially I just had him in the scene in Lisbon where...
Now hold tight before we discuss. So if I got this right, the philosophy is the evil is one, the world is terrible, but you can't commit suicide, so you just pretty much hate life. Whereas Martin was kind of like, everything sucks. They actually hate life. Okay, now you've got the scene.
So it's that scene where Candide is like laying under all that rubble in Lisbon. He's asking Pangloss for the wine and oil. And then like out of the corner of his eye, he just sees like this drunk guy stumbling down toward him, just pouring wine, anointing like all these people. And then he gets to him, just like pours a bit of wine on Candide and then drinks the rest of it. And he's like, drink up. And that's the end of it.
Okay, so I did a track list too, and my first song is "Can't Keep My Hands to Myself" by Selena Gomez, and that's like 'cause nobody in the book kept their hands to themselves, like with Pangloss and Candide and Candide, Candide and the Marquis and all the raping and prostitution and stuff. Okay, my next song is "Love Yours" by J. Cole, and I feel like this is a song that Poco Curante needed to listen to because he was disgusted with everything that he had, and he needed to know that the only way he can be happy is by loving his. And I have "What a Wonderful World" by Louis Armstrong, and this is like how Pangloss and Candy looked at the world in the beginning of the book, and that's it.
Since Candide originated in Germany, I decided to do a newspaper article over like the 7-Year War. So I wrote it all in German. And I have the translation right here. Picture.
Thank you for the record. Awesome. So so you wrote a newspaper article on something that happened with the 7
It's
Years
like a
War there?
war correspondent, like
Oh, okay.
yeah,
In German though.
yeah.
Okay. That's way over my head. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, sir. Fantastic.
So I did like a little map thing of like some of the places that Candide went to. Not all of them, but here's how it's at Westphalia, and I just drew maps for Bulgaria because it's kind of like the topography there. I don't know if that's wrong. So in Westphalia, the area starts off the story, Pangloss teaching him the philosophical optimism, and Bulgaria he has to run the gauntlet. The diamonds was for El Dorado because you know how they don't have it's like a utopia. And then the Thespian masks are for Paris, France for the theater and the Abbe trapping him and
funny, and Marquis seducing him, and then like the little barn is supposed to represent the farm at the end where he has to cultivate his garden.
Fantastic.
Okay, so here's my board. Okay, it says let us cultivate our garden. So obviously you can have glued a bunch of flowers on it, and the flowers to me are like the colors represent characters. So I did yellow for Pangloss because yellow is more of like a happy color. Pangloss was always happy. I did this red for the Marquise because red's kind of a romantic color, and you know, things happened in that book. I did pink for Candide because that's more of like an innocent but still romantic color, and it's a rose, and roses are kind of the symbol. I did white for Martin because I'm not quite sure. I just kind of looked at it and I was like, he's a white person because the color white represents him because I don't know, white's kind of just a plain color, and he was a very plain person. He didn't hide stuff. And then for Candide, I did this yellow flower with the pink on it because he started off happy, and then pink, I mean, that wasn't supposed to represent Candide, that was just supposed to represent that he's like slowly changing throughout the book.
Thank you very much.
Alright, so I did a collage on the book. It's about when Candide and Martin were reasoning on the boat, and they were talking about hawks and pigeons. Like hawks, let's see, have hawks always eaten pigeons when they found them? And the answer was yes. So Martin said, well then if hawks have always had the same character, why would you imagine that men may have changed theirs? And so the character that he was talking about was, I picked out 7. It's pride, lust, wrath, greed, sloth, envy, and gluttony. And so I put examples of them
Mm-hmm.
all over the collage. If you
There you go.
Yeah.
Good job, Dom.
So that's pride.
Can you, yeah.
Okay, that's pride. This is wrath.
For me.
Yeah, hold it.
Oh, we skipped. This is greed.
Greed.
Wait, I can't see.
Oh, yeah.
Is he eating money in a room?
Yeah, easy.
That's me.
Shouldn't that be good?
That's what I do every time.
This is sloth.
It's me every Saturday.
That is so me.
And
They're
envy.
Envy.
And then gluttony.
Oh, yeah. Also me Saturdays.
And
Okay,
then
yeah, that's me.
we
How
had
did this photograph
we had
me?
skipped lust. I hope you guys know.
Wait, we're skipping one.
That's,
That's lust. Yeah, we can go. And so I compared them to Disney characters.
ooh,
Yes!
okay, okay.
Disney.
So for pride I had Gaston.
Ah,
And then for lust I had Frollo.
I love you.
Hunchback of Notre Yeah.
listen.
From wrath I had Maleficent.
Yeah.
And for greed I had Scar.
Did you put Ursula in there?
Ursula.
He's the guy from
For sloth I put Hopper.
And the screen. I see that.
For envy I put the evil queen.
Is that from Snow White?
Yeah.
No, Coach Brown, it's from some other cartoon.
Good.
And for gluttony I put Ka from the Jungle Book.
Ooh, money.
Yes.
Money.
And there's some other photos. The old man had said his sins were want, boredom, and vice.
Yep.
And these 7 things are like categories of vice.
Mm-hmm.
And is one of them, and then where's Voltaire? Wait, Alright, and this is for border awareness. And
Gotcha.
then, so the thing that they needed to do was work.
Awesome. Fantastic. Excellent.
I did a cast list, so for Candide, I chose Will Ferrell because he can convey the clueless and ignorant nature of Candide. Candide, I chose Lindsay Lohan because starts good and goes off the deep end. For the old lady, I would choose Sandra Bullock because in The Blind Side with like Michael, she's really like she can be caring, but then in some scenes with her husband, she can be really austere and stern. And I'll do Pangloss Adam Sandler because he could be sarcastic when he's acting like everything's all good. So, yep.
I created the scene where James was jumping in to save Candide, and I used, instead of finding an actual boat to put on, I spelled out boat, how Pangloss like spelled everything out for Candide, and so I was showing that he was spelling everything out, how he's not supposed to jump in and save him, and then I also have the boat like slanted and tilted, showing that it's in a storm, and then around the boat I have like the rocks, but to show choppy waves, and then instead of just spray painting the board, and so then it's built up around the letters because like it's showing the waves hitting the boat.
Who was that already in the water?
This is Candide. This is James jumping in because no, that's a different sailor. But James is jumping in to save.
Okay. Good deal. Awesome. Thanks, Max.
The cast list too. For Candide, I put Jim Carrey just because it reminded me of like the Truman Show, and in that movie he's really like naive, and that's how Candide is. For Pangloss, I put Steve Carell just because he's like dumb in real life, and Pangloss is dumb in the book. For Martin, I put David Spade because he's really sarcastic and really like negative all the time, and I guess Martin is too. I had two people for Cunegande. For the beginning, when she was supposed to be real pretty, I put Kate Upton because I felt like that's what Candide was, and that's what she was in his eyes. And then for when she got ugly, I put Rebel Wilson, which if y'all don't know who that is, that's Fat Amy from Pitch Perfect. And
Character name, Fat Amy?
Yes.
yeah,
Fair enough. Thought she was being cruel.
no, that's. And for the old woman, I put Betty White. And then y'all probably won't know this. I think you'll know who this is. For the Grand Inquisitor, I put Bill Romanowski
Why?
because he's real mean.
So I basically wrote about philosophical optimism, and since Pangloss and Candide are German, I wrote it in German. So this is what it is. You want me to read German and then translate?
I think that'd be cool. Yes.
Durch dich und du wurden Lebensplanen für uns immer gewinnen. Gott hat das Welt und alles in es gemacht. Ist perfekt, deshalb alles ist perfekt macht und es ist wie so. Ganz gleich gehen wir durch den Kampf. Waren das Welt für uns gemacht und alles wurde nach zu Plan gehen und gut wurden immer über Böse gewinnen. Wir haben die beste Sache in unserem Leben, die beste Burg auf der Welt, die beste Essen, die beste Bildung und die beste Leben. Wenn du ein Arm hast verloren, keine Sorge, waren du sollst dein Arm verloren. Wenn du ertrinkst, keine Sorge, wirst du in welcher der Körper Wasser getränkt vor dem gemacht. Wenn dein Land wohnt ein Erdbänner, wäre Schultelte und viele Leute sterben, keine Sorge, wäre dein Land sein Schultelte, von ein Erdbänner gemacht und toten alles die Leute. Immer kennt das alles, das passiert ist für das Horror voll. Mein Schüler Candide. And the translation is, through thick and thin, life's plan for us will always win. God made the world and everything in it. He is perfect, therefore everything He made is perfect, and it is how it should be. No matter the troubles and trials we go through, the world was made for us, and everything will go according to plan, and good will always win over evil. We have the best things in our lives, the best castle of all the planet, the best food, the best education, and the best life. If you lost an arm, don't worry. You were supposed to lose an arm. If you drown, do not worry. The body of water which you drown in was made for you. If your land is shook by an earthquake and hundreds of people die, do not worry. That land was made to shake and kill all those people. So always know that everything that happens is for the greater good. My pupil Candide.
Okay. I don't know if you can tell, but cutting foam is extremely difficult. It was, like for the roof, I didn't even try to glue it because at this point I was just. This is my third house that I tried.
The third house?
The third house.
I respect it. It's the best of all possible houses, though.
Yes. It was very, I don't, like, the walls and stuff. I think the back wall is bigger than the entire thing.
Fair enough.
So I left the house white to reverse it because I think white is a boring color, and since while they were at the farmhouse, they were complaining about how boring it was. So I left it white, and then on the inside of the house, you can't really see, but I left it empty to also symbolize that empty house is gonna be kind of boring, nothing to do, and then that's about it.
But for the camera, clarify, what is that?
Oh, this is Candide's farmhouse.
At the very end.
Yes, at the very end.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jeff.
I did a pen and ink drawing of a. You remember this, but so it's a skull, but the red represents the violence that was captured in all of Candide's lives and all of the lives that surrounded him, and the missing mouth represents that the people that weren't really trustworthy and actually cared for Candide didn't need their mouth to show that they were trustworthy. So, Cacumbo, he took care of Candide through, continents, literally. And then, it's nice. But so the people that tried to harm Candide, like Vanderdender or the Abbé, they had to use their mouths a lot to get him to follow them.
That's true. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. How long did that take?
I wrote down song lyrics that kind of went along with parts of the book.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
I would love for you to pick some.
Okay. I can't read.
Max, you think you can jump up there and hold that forward?
Okay. One of them was, I feel I must interject here. You're getting carried away feeling sorry for yourself. And that was like the old woman when she was talking to Cunegande about feeling sorry for herself. And then I was scared of dentists and the dark. I was scared of pretty girls and starting conversations. Kind of Candide's innocence at the beginning of the book. And then, tell me, am I right to think that there could be nothing better than making you my bride and slowly growing old together? That's Candide, because throughout the entire book he wants to marry Cunegande.
Very true.
Want me to do it? Yeah. Okay. It says, I won't give up on us even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up. And that's still Candide refuses to give up on Candide even when she's already married because he likes her so much.
Thank you very much. Love it.
I had another part. My sweet little puppy, she took a whiz on it, so I didn't bring that in, and I restarted it. I finished it.
That out.
So I did these flowers. They're made of fabric because like the happiness that they was really fabricated and they really weren't happy. But like this one represents Pangloss's teaching. Like the black is like the bad and the white is in the good, and how the white in the black is for a greater good. And then this one has a little red center. That was, which one was this? I wrote it down, but I don't remember. No, I still don't remember.
Do you have your rationale?
Yeah, that's my
So
phone.
take that as a judgment. We're really good at editing this.
Actually, let's see. So the one was it was Martin. It's blue because sad. His life was sad. His life sucked. So it's blue, and it's red because red is angry. He's like angry at the world. And then the flowers represent how like they're not really pretty because before the end, like when they're told to cultivate the gardens, they really weren't doing that. So the flowers would have been like dying metaphorically. So ugly flowers because they didn't do anything to them.
Thank you very much.
I just did a sketch of a pierced hand. I don't know if you can see it, but maybe I'll come around later. Yeah, I kind of took it into the perspective of Jesus Christ just didn't really have any other ideas. So kind of like philosophical optimism, Pangloss kind of enforced it upon people, but they had reason to suspect that it wasn't actually something that worked out. Just like Jesus Christ, they suspected he was the Son of God, but not many people believed it. So they crucified him, and well, towards the end of the book, it was already too late to realize, hey, philosophical optimism isn't the way to go. And then finally at the end they realized Jesus Christ was actually the Son of God, but it was too late to stop it. So I kind of just took it into that. Yeah.
It's a neat parallel. Awesome. Thank you very much. Actually, pitching is not easily seen.
So I had printer problems, but I emailed it to you.
I got an email.
And I made a cast list. And for Candide, I did Freddie Highmore from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Bates Motel, because he can play a curious person and he can also play a person who's been devastated, like when Candide was devastated with the slave. And for Pangloss, I did Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park and the Apartment.com commercials, because he can play an intelligent person and have a optimistic side. And for the old woman, I did Jessica Lange from American Horror Story, because she, over the season, she plays many characters that have a lot happen to her. And for Martin, I chose Bono from U2 because his songs have some depressing lyrics, and I feel like that would make him a good candidate to play a sad person.
He has the look too. For parents. You want more for us?
For the Baroness, I did Melissa McCarthy because she's funny and I think she fits the description.
She does fit this. It's very polite to say. Awesome. Get it on camera.
It was really hard to find a sheep. I spent an entire day around the mall looking for one.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I did sheep from Candide, and I painted it red and glued some jewelry from the dollar store on it. The sheep and the blood represents Candide's last shred of optimism, and I used the jewels to give the context of Bandit and when he stole his sheep and flock. So yeah, that's it.
Is it delicate or is it pretty sturdy? Like the jewels on it
It's
are?
pretty sturdy, but it's really glittery. So
Oh, so pass at your own risk.
yeah.
That's fantastic. I'll go. Thank you. You know, that would make one heck of a paperweight for an English teacher. Always giving conversations.
I did like a poem from Voltaire's
perspective if you had met Candide in like real life and what had Candide happened and you know about it all. So, sweet innocent little Candide, holding tight to something you don't have anymore. This is not something you can escape from with empty solutions. This world does not care where you come from. Trust me, you taste the same as everyone else when being chewed down. A pretty face won't save you either. A dream of violets and silver petals afloat in your head does not stop the crushing claws of Satan. This is not a dream with Cunegande. This is the real world. Dear Candide, your innocence won't last long in this realm. I'd like to see you last a day without money or Martin.
So we're speaking directly to the character he created. That's Sean. All right.
Okay, so for my project, I took a suit from a deck of cards, and on each card, on the back of it, is a different image. And the ace, the jack, the queen, the king, and the joker all symbolize a different character or a theme, and the scenes also, like the scenes are from cards 2 to 10. So, I'll just start with the ace and go forward. I don't know if you
I can put a light off.
this one's gonna be really hard to see. Okay, if you can tell, the card is black. And this is the ace, and it's black because it's Martin, and he's the ultimate pessimist. And okay. This is number 2, and the 2 through 10 go in sequential order of what happens in the story. So this is Thunder Tantrump's castle, and this is where the story starts out and how Candide gets his basis in this naivety and his sheltered life. This is when he goes into the army, and he actually experiences the world and sees that not everything is great. There's a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and a lot of wrongdoing in the world. This is when he meets the Inquisition, and Pangloss and him go to Lisbon, Portugal. And the Inquisition has an auto de fe and kills Pangloss. And Voltaire was trying to show the hypocrisy of not only the Roman Catholic religion, but religion in general. So there's a white cross for purity and an inverted black cross to show that they really weren't all that great. 5 is their voyage to the New World, and where the old woman tells both Cunegande and Candide her story, and basically says, you need to suck it up, your life isn't as bad as I've had it, you need to humble yourselves. Yeah, this is when Cacambo and Candide meet the Aurelians, and with this scene, Voltaire is basically parroting the idea or the theory that humans are uncorrupted by nature, which, proven by the Aurelians, they are not. This is kind of an over-glorified version of El Dorado, because in both Cacambo and Candide's mind, El Dorado was this perfect, absolutely beautiful place, and although on the outside it did not look like that, it was, in their minds, it was just perfect. This is pretty obviously the encounter with the Marquise in Paris, and there's a part where he says, Voltaire writes that the rings from Candide's hand passed to the Marquise's hands, and yeah, I don't think it needs to say much more than that. 6 dethroned kings. And Voltaire is saying that even though they were kings and they were once great and of noble rank, they still fell. There's still fallibility in rank, and it's not all that it seems to be. This is the last scene, and this is probably like the most well-known quote in this class from the book, "Let us cultivate our garden." So I thought it was appropriate to put it in here, because that's where Candide finally discovers that the purpose in life is through work. This card is Cacambo. It's half black and half white because Cacambo was neither an extreme pessimist or extreme optimist. He was a well-balanced mix of both. This is Cunegande because one of the very first scenes is where she drops her handkerchief and he picks it up, and that kind of sets up the whole story of him, running around the world trying to find her and always wanting to marry her. Lastly, this is the king, and it is Candide, and it's painted white because he is pure or honest and just very innocent and sheltered until the end of the book, when he's gone through everything and finally realizes that there's more than philosophical optimism. And this is probably the most important card in the whole suit. It's the Joker. This symbolizes Pangloss and philosophical optimism because Candide, that is what the book is about. It's a parody of Leibniz and philosophical optimism, and it's, in simple terms, it's a joke. When put into practice, it does not work. You can't apply it to anything, and it's unrealistic and just utterly impossible.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I started a Twitter page, yes. And I tweeted, okay, let's see. I'll go all the way down to the bottom. First tweet, I said, I'm in the greatest castle of all. And
Tell them who you did it for.
oh, I did Candide, as you can see. Yeah. And then, so, me and my bae did some cause and effect, but we got caught, so I guess I'm gone.
Can I just say that Max was Cunegande?
Yeah,
But he's not here.
Max.
Cliches.
Oh.
So like, then when Vanderninder stole his sheet, I put, bruh, everyone unfollow and block and report Vanderninder. He stole my money. Crying emoji. And I put, oh, his ship sunk. Thank you, French Navy. I'll be hitting y'all up and follow. So I put WCW on Christmas Day for Cunegande.
Woman Crush Wednesday for Cunegande. This is a real Twitter account, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We all made real Twitter accounts. They're attached to ours.
Then I did a poll for who's more annoying, Pangloss or Martin, but no one voted. So I guess they're evenly annoying. I put on board admin on Snapchat for when they were, Then
gotcha.
I'm in the garden, and it's making me mad because these darn crops aren't growing. Maybe I should take off my WCW post from the other day. Cunegande is a little on the ugly side now.
Oh.
And I put the End It movement because like he was against slavery.
Yeah.
And I put Martin, you're so annoying, chill out. Then I put, y'all know, have you heard that song, Where's Mrs. Right by Modest Behavior? I did a little remix, Where's Cunegande, I gotta find her. Where's Cunegande, I gotta find her, travel all across the world just to see her and all that. And then I shouted out their movie, what was it called? Yeah, Candide movie. Yeah, not the best movie for me, but I guess it's good. Then I put Dr. Pangloss, I wonder if you'll find the good in me and following you.
Pangloss is Riz. Or DeMario.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I put at Martin is always being negative, at Pangloss is always being optimistic. I don't even think Mitchell would trust him.
I'll take it. Awesome, Chase. Go ahead and roll.
Okay, so I sent mine over to him, but let me just get to the very top here. Okay, so I did the old woman, and as you can see, that is an extremely ugly woman on the picture. Let me just scroll down a little slow. Okay, so my very first tweet was, "Have no fear, the Princess of Palestrina and the daughter of Pope X is here." And then I said, "Oh, how I love the Prince of Nasakara, or do I?" And put a bunch of like emojis because she killed him. So. I said 100 times I wanted to kill myself, but I always loved life more. The ridiculous weakness is perhaps one of our worst instincts. I chose this quote because it's one of her really famous quotes, and I got it from Spark Notes. So, yeah. And then I said, "I swear Cunegonde would be so much better if she would just marry Don Fernando. I had to sit and watch my mother and their maids of honor be ripped apart by the men fighting over them. I can't get it out of my head." And then I said, "Want to know a secret? I only have one buttock." And then put a bunch of laughing faces. And then I tweeted back to Candide and said, "Ready to go adventure?" And yeah, I got a really weird follow from a dude who asked me if I would send this to his YouTube channel, and I told him no. So yeah.
That's a smart call.
But yeah, that's mine.
Good deal. Thank you.
That one is Martin, and he's coming
No.
soon. It went blue.
Check your phone again. There you go.
And I sent you one too that you sent
Searching. Now turn it on. See the green button, sir. On the column.
There you go.
Alright, so I was Martin, and I chose just a blank, dark profile picture. And my name was A, I guess, Martin. So I commented to one of Candide's posts, and I said, "Come on, man, did you have to?" Where Candide said, "Thank you, French Navy, for sinking Vanderden's ship." So I said, "Come on, man, did you have to? What about those other people that got sunk that weren't part of the affair?" Hashtag end the evil. And then the other one, not sure if you can see it, but and then I commented another one where Candide said, I hate Martin's so annoying," and then I replied with one of the quotes that Martin said in the book, "I have lived, sir." And then when on our trip, I tweeted saying, "I'm staying with Candide on this trip. He makes it rain." And yeah.
Put a sheep and a red dot.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
awesome. Wow.
Demario is. We have technical difficulties with Demario's phone.
Yeah.
Who are you, Mario?
All right. So mine was Dr. Pangloss. You can see his picture. He's an incredibly old man. And he has a never mind. And he has a background quote that says, let's see the whole picture first. Okay, it says, "Wherein the good doctor defend the adaptionist program." I think that's supposed to be program, but it's not spelled right. Program with the finest justice, so stored ever told. And then that's my tweets. So on my tweets, one is the first one is, "All is for the best in the best of all worlds," which is basically philosophical optimism, and then that's basically Pangloss's quote. And I put the quote that's at the very end where I put, "For when man was put into the Garden of Eden, he was put there after so that he should work it. So he should work it. This proves that man was not born to take his ease." And then Candide wanted to tag me in something that said, "Wonder if you'll find the good and unfollow me," because Candide was starting to have doubts about Dr. Pangloss.
Awesome. So,
Yeah.
all right, great job, guys. Great.